Celtics game 3 tonight. And Shime, we're going to have to just delay the news a little bit because it is this doesn't happen all the time on this show, but when it does, it is an absolute honor and a thrill. And so I would like to welcome back to the program the great Dee Brown on a Friday morning here at WEEI. Hello, Dee.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing? It's always, you know what? It's always great to hear WEEI. I just remember that from Johnny Most and all the people. So when I get on this show, it brings up great memories. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, speaking of great memories and Johnny Most and things like that, are you watching Celtic City?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let me take that back. I haven't watched it yet because I'm a binge watcher. So I'm going to wait. I get a lot of people call me about the episodes. I think my episode just came on this past week or a week ago or things like that. So I haven't watched it yet. I like to watch it like the whole thing. So I haven't watched it yet. I've seen snippets of it, of course. So but I'm looking forward to watching it. I heard it's unbelievable. It's great. You know, if you're a Celtics fan or not a Celtics fan, I think this is something that people always want to know the history of this great franchise organization, you know, going all the way back to Red Auerbach and Walter Brown, all the way up to, you know, the current Celtics. So I'm going to watch it. It's not like I'm not, but I just want to go sit down, close the door, be in my living room for about 8 hours straight and enjoy my Celtics.
You get a lot of Red Hour back. You get Rick Pitino firing Red Hour back. There's a lot of
don't get me started on that again. Don't get me started on that one.
D, I've been watching.
I want to blow it.
D, I've been watching it, and like that's kind of like the wheelhouse of my basketball era is like the early '90s when they made the transition from like kind of the old slow god to the whole nickname of the Zip Boys. What was that like to kind of put a different face on what we saw from the Celtics, those '80s Celtics, to the early '90s Celtics, where it was young, upbeat, flying around, slam dunking? What was that like, that transition like for you?
Well, I mean, Red was a genius. I mean, people forget. And also, you know, let's not forget the late, great Dave Gavitt, who's also a part of this transition as well, along with Jan Volk, who was also the GM. So those three guys were kind of the brain trust between this transition. And I remember the transition really started with Lanny Bias. That's when the transition kind of started with, okay, we got to know the big three's going to end up retiring soon. We need the new great Celtics going to take us to the next 20 years. Then he passed away, and all of a sudden, you know, the transition between, you know, the big three to the Zip Boys from the front court to the back court, myself, Reggie, Brian Shaw, and Kevin Gamble. And to be a part of that, knowing that you're going to be a part of a franchise that, you know, winning is not, winning banners is what you do. We don't hang up, you know, division banners. Like that feeling of knowing that you're a part of something that always chasing championship every year, anything less, it feels like a failure in Celtics history or even in the fans in Boston. So to be a part of that is just, it was just so exciting, exhilarating, being a young kid from Jacksonville, Florida, to be a part of that transition to being a key cog to that. And then obviously, they retired, obviously at different times, and Reggie passed away. And all of a sudden, you know, it kind of just got stagnant, you know. Yeah. So it's, you know, it was very, very, very tough. But I relish, and it made me the man who I am, and love Boston every single day of what they did for me and my family. And you know, you wish it would have went better, and wish it would have been a better outcome, especially with the people that we lost during that time. But again, nothing would change my love for the city of Boston and the Celtics organization at all, because of all the things that I went through and people I got a chance to meet and be around.
I need you to weigh in on a ridiculous debate that Curtis started on this show yesterday. Curtis suggested that this current Celtics team would beat the '86 team head to head.
No. I'm gonna answer that. I knew once you started down the road that this Celtics team will beat. I knew the team you were going to talk about, 86 team. They will not beat the 86 team. I'm sorry. Like, I love this team, the new team. They got a great group of guys. They got a deep bench. 86 team was different. Like, that was a different team. I mean,
but they're playing with the They're playing with the 2025 defensive rules, so you can't. We're not playing. We're not playing 86 rules where you can take heads off and they don't call.
Well, you can't. We can't change the rules. We can't meet them halfway. Meet them halfway. You can't go 86 to 25. Right? They play the 95 rules. Oh, that's different. It's kind of that's halfway. If you meet them halfway, I'm still taking 86 Celtics.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew you would. All right, speaking of like the way they play and cheap shots, we saw the flagrant on Tatum. Al Horford said yesterday that KCP intentionally tripped him. Looked like to many of us that Cole Anthony cheap shotted the knee into Peyton Pritchard. Is that, from your perspective, is that playing dirty or is that good basketball in the playoffs?
I think it's physical basketball, and I think the refs let people get away a little bit more in the playoffs. It's physical. The referees want to see more gameplay, but sometimes it does. It gets a little bit out of control, and guys, hit people. I mean, we talk about the Celtics game, okay, and with Jason getting hit, and then Pritchard and Horford, all those things are happening during the course of the game. It's so fast. Yeah, it's borderline dirty. They're not dirty players. I'm not going to go out and say that. I think it's physical, and you get caught up. You look at two incidents that just happened the last a couple of games with Jimmy Butler and also with John Morant. They both fell on their backs and one fell on their hips. There wasn't dirty plays. Guy get pushed, get stumbled, and it just looks bad. So I would never consider those guys that did those to those guys dirty players. But when physical play happens and you get riled up and so much energy and adrenaline happens, you cross a line. We call some of those players, and you know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say names. Habitual line steppers. Yeah. You know who those are? Those guys are in the league. There's certain guys that that the Draymonds and the Dylan Brooks, they're habitual line steppers. They're gonna push the envelope a little bit, and everybody falls into the line, and another teammate will do something, and then another team, and then all of a sudden, the game's got physical and a little bit out of control and somewhat muddy and dirty. But I know guys are not trying to hurt guys out there, but the playoffs, it gets a little intense. And hopefully, Jason can be back for Game 3.
Yeah, Dee Brown is our guest. Were you surprised that he didn't play Wednesday night?
I was surprised because I was more surprised that was the first game he missed in the playoffs more than anything. Like, that's amazing. Like, that was the first playoff game he's missed. And so when I heard that stat, I go, wow, he's not playing. It must be really serious. Or, it's a home game. Early, it's round one. It's a 2 versus 7. They got enough to beat the Magic with the group they had. Jalen stepped up. Derek White's been playing great all series so far. So no, I wasn't surprised once I've learned that it's a long series, it's a long playoffs. You got to win 16 games, and winning Game 2 and risking Jason. Risk to be more aggravated or him not playing to level so he can be scrutinized more. Like that's all Jason needs right now is, see, if he played and he only scored 8 points and they won, he's not really a superstar. Like, people add more to the narrative of why Jason Tatum's not a great player. It makes me, dizzy. So he did the right thing, and they made the right decision on him not playing because the other guys stepped up.
Would Larry have missed a game with a bruised wrist?
Oh, God. I've seen Larry lay on his back plenty times, and wanted to play, but you know what? The powers that be named Ed Lassert and Chris Ford was like, no, you're not playing. So that's an unfair comparison. I see Larry come back. Yeah. I see Larry come back with hitting his face on the floor, and crack his his face and come back and hit a couple jumpers against the Pacers. So don't take comparison. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that one.
D, don't. I know we tried to get you with the 86 question because of my topic yesterday, but he has been all over. He's been Captain Oldham this week.
I see that.
But D, I would just be curious to get your reaction. A big talker here has been Joe Mazzulla screaming, "Get up!" to Jason Tatum as he was on the ground writhing in pain. Was that surprising to you?
No, hell, if anything that Joe Mazzulla is surprising, he is the most entertaining. I don't know if he's serious sometimes. I don't know if he's just joking with the media and the things he says. He said he was saying out of love. Like, Joe is, I mean, he's such a person that he says what's on his mind. He's very upfront and honest, and you appreciate that. And I think he was saying out of love. I mean, Joe, he's a person that if he speaks it into the universe, it's going to happen. Like, I feel like he's that type of coach. Like, hey, get up. And then you go, hey, just get up. Like, and Joe, but, you got to admire Joe because he's done such a great job after, obviously, year one and then year two and then championship. And, obviously now, he's the guy. People trust him. He doesn't have a problem with taking, the blame if something goes wrong or calling out people. So you appreciate him, but, you never know what's going to come out of Joe's mouth during a press conference or something like that. But he's so unique, and I really like him. I like him for that.
D, one of the interesting things, I know you said you haven't watched it yet, you're going to binge it with Celtic City, that they really dive into, especially kind of in your era and the Bird era, is just the racial element of the Boston Celtics fans and just the city and area. I know you had the situation, they obviously talk about that, with you getting pulled over and guns drawn on you.
In Wellesley.
Yeah. What was it like for you at that era to be a black athlete playing in Boston?
Other than that incident, and I wasn't pulled over. I was already parked in the parking lot already, getting my mail across the street from the post office from the bank that was robbed like a week before I was there. So that incident obviously was very, very traumatic, and it scares you when you're just first moving to Boston. I was moving into Wellesley at that time, so that was a tough situation, and a lot of good things came out of that. A lot of conversations with the city, a lot of things. I wasn't trying to sue or anything like that. I just wanted some education and people to understand this happens. If I wasn't a Boston Celtic player, what could have happened? Could I have been a shot? So, but after that, I never had any issues in Boston. My wife's from Cambridge. I still got family that lives in Cambridge and Malden. So I'm always up in Boston. I ended up living in Wellesley because we practiced there. I had me and Robert Parrish had my basketball camp in Wellesley at Babson College. So I enjoyed my time up there. Again, I say this to everybody who always asks me this question. Like, there's always going to be some, racial, inequities in the city you go to. There's certain areas that you go that are predominantly black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever it is, and, I found myself when I was in Boston, I went to North End 8th, and I, walked certain areas and things like that. And people didn't bother me at all, maybe because I was a Celtic and people knew who I was. And so I'm not dismissing that factor and that part of being in Boston. But after the incident, I never had any issues with any race, any fans calling me crazy or calling me certain words or things like that. I love the Boston fans, and they're very, very passionate, and I'm sure they've crossed line in many ways with, opposing teams, and that's not right either, no matter who it is. So, but I love the city. Like I said, my oldest daughter, Lex, who plays in the W right now, WNBA, was born in Boston. So, like I said, Boston's my second home, and it always will be.
Well, we love you. We love having you on. So
Appreciate you guys.
Come on anytime. Did Wellesley at least? Did they give you the key to the city, or name a Rotary after you were? Because I could probably make that happen. Did they do anything?
No. One thing that happened, I think the police chief got fired, the mayor got, and I knew a lot of things that happened. That was positive for Wellesley and the community. Just kind of, like I said, brought a lot of conversation and awareness to that city. Yeah. And even the surrounding cities, weei-fm, Needham, all those areas kind of came together and said, listen, if this is happening, we got to do a better job of identifying this stuff shouldn't be happening in back then in the 1990s. Yeah. Now it's 2025. And obviously that's 35 years ago. But it's still listen, it's still my favorite place. Like I said, I still got friends and family up there. So, never, ever, ever, you can never, ever get me to say something bad about Boston in that sense at all, even though that happened to me.
Love it. Well, we'll see you when you come back up. Come in and see us. Dee Brown, thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right.